Hello Sagittarius, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Welcome to your monthly forecast. Each and every month we like to gather here and take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks. The whole purpose here is for empowerment, so I hope that you walk away with a sense of preparation, understanding, and feeling like you've got a chance to make a splash and make an impact. I begin every reading with channeled messages. These come through directly in dreams. Then I spend some time right before I get started here in basically interpreting them for you. So many messages came through last night, and I really like them. I think this is going to help. A lot of it centers around communication, so let's talk about that. All right, so engaging and listening is a big part of this, making sure that what you're saying is also being interpreted. And then I have some things here about new cycles and opportunities. Let's talk about the engagement portion. So I'm sure many of you have seen that old, it's kind of like a tried and true thing that you'll see in movies where there's a teacher just sitting at the chalkboard and the students are completely disinterested. And that's kind of what I saw in my dreams. It looked to me like either scientific or mathematical equations on the board, and the teacher just kept writing this stuff up and the kids were completely lost in the background. And it really reminds you of one of the most important things about public speaking, whether it's teaching or mentorship or anything of that nature, is to make sure that the audience is engaged, they understand what you're saying, and also that there is a sense of sort of interest too. And I think what could be happening in your own life is maybe there's something that you're trying to put out into the world, whether it's advertising or marketing for a business, or if you're trying to invite someone out and they just don't seem to be receiving it. Let's take a look at different things, from the timing of the message to the content to also the context. Are people picking up and understanding all of this? One thing that I put here for the final couple of bullets was to take more breaks. So in any good communication, both parties get a chance to feel like they're being heard, they're being understood. And sometimes, I'm sure we've all had people in our lives where they just talk, and they don't really listen. So do equal amounts of talking and listening, and that'll be a part of the next slide. You may be wondering, Nicholas, why'd you put the Six of Swords on this? Because if you can't kind of create that engagement, people are going to check out and move on. So that's what I was seeing, was that disengagement and then that sort of journey to something else, someone else that's going to listen. If you feel that sense of being disengaged, then it's going to be really important for you to think of a course correction. Another reason that I featured the Six of Swords here. So this is a chance to turn things around, to listen, to engage, or to move on. All right. The next thing here is uncrossing the wires. So continuing with this theme of communication, I was shown a different metaphor for a way of like interpretation or misunderstanding. And this time someone was at a restaurant placing an order and the dish that came out was completely wrong. And in this case, what I was really thinking of is sometimes there's different words for the same thing. So when you're communicating, especially for anything professional, you really want to avoid slang or jargon or shortcut words. Be clear, concise, and use as few words as possible, and I think that will help. Also, and this is I think maybe the most important piece of this, let's say someone does something wrong or misinterprets. Let's not assume that it was maliciously so. Ask first. Say, hey, I actually ordered this, but help me understand, was there something that I could have said or done? Or in the case of a regular communication, let's say someone's late for a date or late on a deadline, or they just fell short of expectations. You could check in with them first and say, is everything okay? Are you really busy? Like, what's going on? If they're not, or if that doesn't explain it, then you can kind of break down and see what happened with the communication. Sometimes it's just a matter of they didn't hear or they heard and interpreted differently. So the reason I feature the Page of Swords is he or she always turns over their back and they're listening and checking and saying, wait, did I hear this? Or are you okay on that? Just a couple check-ins here and there is going to be really important. Assume the best, try to improve moving forward, and that's the best that you can do here. But there may also be someone that's better suited for certain types of communication, so delegating or connecting with that person could also help things out here as well. All right. Now, this was beautiful, and I've never received this in dreams before, and I really had to think about it a little bit this morning because there's so many different layers to this particular image that came through. So in my dreams, you and another person were walking a winding path. It was not basically the straight path. It was something like in San Francisco has, this winding path that goes down a hill. It kind of looked like that. I can't remember the name of the street right now, but it was like that street. And it was basically, I saw all of these diamonds encrusted in the pavement, shining big diamonds. And it was kind of like I had to be careful. And the other person, you had to be careful. Whoever was in this vision had to be careful as they were walking. And so it's all about diamonds. So let's talk about this. First of all, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, the streets were paved with gold. Well, in this case, they were paved with diamonds. It sounds great, but in reality, you don't see it that often. So there can be someone in your life that's trying to lure you in with something that might be unrealistic. So a shortcut, a get-rich-quick sort of scheme, or just something where it might be too good to be true. So be discerning, get the facts, get a guarantee if someone is putting out these glittering sort of things. Now, if we take that piece out, which is really just exercising common sense, which is always good, diamonds are actually a beautiful metaphor and very much connected to the Ace of Pentacles. So diamonds in the rough, that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about, because some of the diamonds were sparkling, but some looked like rocks when I was looking at the street or the pavement. And so potential, hidden potential. You could be the diamond in the rough. A potential partner or lover could be the diamond in the rough. You could have a project or idea that's in front of you and it's not clear, not clear cut. You don't understand everything yet, but the core of it is strong. So this is about giving things time to reveal themselves fully, because the first pass may kind of make you think, I don't know. But upon later reflection, it's like, wow, this is amazing. So don't pass up a diamond in the rough. Diamonds themselves represent strength, because the way that they are formed is carbon is basically compressed and heated, like in the depths of the planet, and under pressure comes beauty. And in life, if you can be graceful throughout difficult, stressful, unexpected twists and turns in your life, because that's also what that path was representing, then some really cool things can come through for you. And finally, depth of character. The facets in a diamond that has been polished and cut basically reveal all of the depth, the purity, the clarity that's there. So this is a chance to go deeper, to see something beyond what it originally appeared to be. And then after all of that, welcome Apollo, something beautiful awaits. So finally, we got this energy around cycles. And what I saw in the dream was a group of people getting ready to recycle things. You were doing it, but I also saw people watching as you did that. So you have a chance now to create a new cycle or repeat a cycle, because when we look at the word recycle, it's basically asking, do you want to do this again? There is also a transmuting energy that comes through with recycling, which means that you can take one thing and make it something else. Apollo's being such a good dog. Thanks, buddy, for joining us. I let him come in whenever he wants, not just at the beginning. So sometimes he just wants to grace us mid-speech and mid-reading. So we let this little wise one come in whenever he needs to. The last bullet is the most important one, which is you can take a moment to change your perspective, which then can change everything. It opens up doors. It creates a new cycle in your life. And I think that that's really what the month ahead is opening up here, is the Wheel of Fortune, a new cycle. All right, so beautiful, just really gorgeous messages coming through for you this month. Let's take a look now at the cards and see how this also connects with you. Before I do that, just a quick reminder, it helps the channel so much when you choose to like, subscribe, and share this. So if you feel that this is something that you really connected with, those little levels of engagement help other people discover this. And that's why all of us creators ask you. So I just want to say thank you for that one small action. It has a really big reaction in a positive way. All right, let's shuffle the cards and see what the next month has in store for all of my beautiful Sagittarians out there. All right, let's see what's coming through. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you, by the way. I'm going to be quiet here for a moment as I pull all of the cards, and then afterwards I will join in here and we'll take a look at each and every message. There's the Wheel of Fortune. And the World. Also, two wheel kind of cards here. I said I was going to be quiet, but I had to comment on that. Synchronicities always get me excited. Speaking of synchronicities, we have the path here, which is so exciting because I was talking about that winding path earlier. Two that came together there. All right, let's just get a little bit more space here so we can begin. And we're going to begin with the catalyst. I already kind of talked about this one. It got me super excited when I saw it. We have the path. I mentioned that one of my dreams that awakened me this morning was around a gold sort of lined or paved path. And so this is a chance for you to create something new, something beautiful, something deep, something impactful. And also, because diamonds are a part of your reading today, you can create something that has the ability to last, right? Something you can really cut your teeth into, and I love that. The path in reverse here is also saying for some of you, this could be a return to something that you did in the past, or something that you're kind of going back and saying, I haven't forgotten, or I want to give this a little bit more time and energy. She's also creating boundaries, like a line in the sand. So for some of you, this is a chance for you to be clear on what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And if someone hasn't basically fulfilled their end of the bargain, you might be going back and checking in on that as well. Remembering that when it comes to all forms of communication this month, it's going to be really important to make sure that everybody understands and that everybody is on board. All right. Now let's just take a look at the general Celtic Cross in front of us and see what additional messages want to come through. As I'm just scanning through this, I absolutely love that we got both the wheel and the world here. So the Wheel of Fortune and the world. So there definitely is a big cyclical shift, wheels all around the center. You are not lacking abundance this month. You have an 8 of Pentacles, you have a 10 of Pentacles here. There are a couple cards here that are testing your boundaries and balance, but opportunity is knocking, and it's saying you got to make a decision. So really, I'm trying to help you make a decision this month. And I think that that's a good place to be. All right, let's go to your centermost cards. We're going to start off with the 7 of Pentacles. This represents growth, and it also, for some of you, could represent recovery. The 7 of Pentacles, it's so cool. I don't have it within visibility, but maybe when I edit this later, I can put a picture in. But I have a new plant that I have on my porch, which is a plumeria, and it's just like this. It's a cutting rather. And whenever you have a cutting like this, just like a vine for wine or anything like that, it takes time for the roots and for the leaves to grow. You can see in the background, I have my amaryllis, which is finally blooming. But these things take time. You can't see growth happen overnight. You can't rush it. You have to give things just the right sort of conditions for that growth to happen. So continue to be patient with yourself and give yourself the right conditions for growth, for movement, and for yourself to flourish. So that's what this is saying. Good things happen with time, with diligence, and basically by not taking a shortcut. So I think all of these things are key with this. Know when to say when, so don't overextend yourself. 7 of Pentacles can lead to the 7 of Swords if you say something that you know you can't do and then you can't follow through. It's on the heels of the 6 of Pentacles, which means that you've just learned, some of you, the ability to basically choose certain things or say certain things. So yes to this, no to this. So be a person of your word and don't kind of go back on that. And I think that's going to be key. Ultimately, what I do like about this is it's real close to the next card. This is the next one in succession. So I feel like you are going to finish what you set out to finish. Things are going to go deeper and you're going to also learn a lot more. So don't give up. 2 really good cards here, but crossing this before I get to the 8 of Pentacles is the 2 of Wands. Clear vision, clear ideas, and the ability to dream beyond what's going on right now. So I don't know who I was talking to the other day, just a close friend that I hadn't talked to for some time. For me, one thing that's always been easy is the ability to see what the next thing is that I want to work on. So I always have like a plan A and a plan B. I have a main project and a side project. I always have something else that kind of moves or inspires me. And I always have Two of Wands energy floating around me. Since I was a kid, there's always been one more thing. I'm goal-oriented. You know, and that might be the earth placements in my chart, because I have some Capricorn and I have some Taurus. So I like knowing what's going on. I like to feel like I have it all together. My Virgo as well wants to have everything neat and tidy. But with the Two of Wands here, what we see is the advantageous piece to having a plan. So she has a map, she knows where she's going, and she's ready to go there. She's thinking about what tomorrow might yield. And this is going to give you the Three of Wands, which is like a snap. It's right in front of you. So take some time this month to map out your finances, map out a future trip. This is also a travel card. So if you want to take a trip, do that. To dream and explore and think like, what if? And that's what the map on this represents. It's not just what's in front of you. It's like, where haven't I been? What else might be out there? There's a dreamy quality. But the dreamy quality of this one is a lot more grounded, even though we've got wands here, than what we would see with the Seven of Cups, where it's kind of like floating in the air. So let's go on to the next card here. I was already talking a little bit about the Eight of Pentacles. This can represent putting things down in writing. It's sometimes a schooling or learning card. Typically, this is an apprenticeship card too. It's partnered up with the Three of Pentacles. So this is apprenticeship, and the Three of Pentacles is mastery. So what I do like about both cards is they represent a return on investment. We see one lunar cycle represented here. So what you're doing could take them, 30 days or so to come to fruition. Don't give up. It may not happen overnight. And that is nicely aligned with this. So time and care and nurturing and diligence pay off in the form of the Eight of Pentacles. So I like what you're doing. Continue now to not only take care of that, but focus on the next thing. It's like a good chef will be cooking 2 or 3 things at once. Something might be in the oven, something sauteing on the pan, maybe something in the microwave, or they're chopping something. They're not just sitting and waiting for water to boil. They're getting things ready to put in the water. And that's a great way to think about this, is how can I make the most of my time, my energy, and my resources, because things are starting to move in a really compelling and interesting direction. So this is managing and visualizing, and these are your resources, and we see them growing, and now we see a shift, and that's what I was talking about. The question back from the beginning was, are you staying in your current cycle, like recycling something, or are you going to go into something different? Are you going to transmute it? So it's a new cycle or recycle. Hopefully for some of you, this is a new cycle for you. Let's look at the Wheel of Fortune real close, and then we'll talk about this. So if it's in the upright position, we see there's a leap of faith. There's taking a little bit of a calculated chance. Even there, she has a couple of dice around her neck. And we see like chips here from a casino. What she's doing also is pulling at possible timelines. So sometimes we think, oh, maybe this can't happen, or maybe this won't happen. Again, when you start to imagine different ways of doing it, or when you really put yourself out there, and that's another thing that she's doing here, suddenly opportunities start to bend around you. Just like, a star, this big gravity can start to move and bend and shift things around it. You have the chance to do that as well. So don't underestimate your ability to manifest. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. For those of you that drive a car, it's kind of like when you have to turn it around and you have to crank the wheel a little bit, right? So sometimes this can represent like a 90-degree pivot, or for some of you, you are going to go back. We have the path reverse. You're going to do a 180 and you're going to fix something, address something, and then get back on path. So yeah, don't be upset. Don't worry too much if you have to turn your attention here, as long as it's aligned to whatever it is that you're trying to do in the future. Sometimes you're not clear on something until you've lived a little bit of life, until you've had a little bit of experiences to basically give you the depth necessary to understand what's going on. I love this for you. When we look in the headspace, the opportunities that you're starting to create up here, crowning card is the Ace of Cups. Many of you are following your heart, and you are starting to open up to joy and partnership and new experiences here. Look at all the cosmic energy behind her. I love that as well. So the heart is one of the most sort of powerful organs that we have, not just because it keeps us alive, but love is the currency of the universe. It's the language of the universe. It's the language of the divine. So this connects us to that energy. So I really want you to tune into what your heart says is right, what it says you need to avoid, and listen. There's a reason that Egypt in the antiquity really put an emphasis on the heart. And I'd love for you to pay attention to that. This can represent new love, new relationships, new creative energy that's coming through. And overall, it's just quite auspicious. Nothing bad to say because it is in the crowning position. It is upright, and it's like a big satellite dish. So I would just encourage you to remain as open as you can to new things, and sometimes not just listen or think through it, but feel through it and think, how do I feel about that? You know, there was in the original trilogy of Star Wars, there's a phrase that always struck me as kind of unique, and it stood out, especially when it came out, but it would be like, search your feelings. You know, Obi-Wan would always say that, search your feelings, Luke, you'll know it to be true. They had a really weird dialogue style in that original trilogy. So that was really cool though, because your feelings will not lead you astray when it comes to what's right and what's wrong this month. You'll know it when you see it. You'll know it when you tune in. Take some time to tune in. Looking at the near future, we have the World. And this is such a great card. It's one of the bookends in the major arcana. At one end, we have the Fool with the number 0. And at the other one, we have the World here, which is representing expansion, finalizing a phase. So you're either going to repeat it or you're going to graduate. You're ready to graduate. I'm ready for you to graduate if you're ready. And that's really what the World represents. In just traditional breakdowns here, this is what it can also mean. For some of you, you're going to be moving or traveling. Moving to a new place, moving to a new job, traveling for work, for pleasure. Some of you are also finishing up on something that you started. Education can represent graduation, completion. This is a new door or a new window that you or someone else has opened up for you and you're ready to walk through. It's interesting that I was looking at scientific stuff. I think these are the Platonic solids on the side of this card. I might be wrong, but definitely giving me that science vibe, and a very, very mathematical world card as well. And so one thing that I would say based on my dream for you is don't overthink things. You know what is, you know what needs to be done, and there's a point in your life where it just feels right. So as long as you're in that energy where you know this feels right, it's right. If you're bored, if you're tired, if you're disconnected with something, it's also time to create this new path. There could be someone new coming into your life if you've been looking to find a partner or love or some opportunity, and it could be from afar. Basically, whenever this card comes through, it's an encouragement to not limit yourself to your current geography, city, state, province, country, etc. So what you're looking for could be from afar. Nothing bad with this, or this. It's all good. The only thing with this is there's a little bit of a pivot, but everything in the center is like amazing. I'm so happy to have pulled these cards for you, and it feels like you're headed in the right direction. Let's now look at the side here, starting with you. You're represented by the 8 of Wands. You're busy. So what's cool about the 8 of Wands and what's missing in this one is that there are people behind those wands. So sometimes when we're part of something really big, we just feel the energy of the movement. Or sometimes even when you're leading the charge, you forget about it. You get lost in the shuffle here. Take a moment, pause. Remember, we had a lot of cards around communication. Check in with others. How are you feeling? How are you doing? What are you doing? Like, just take some time to be a part of the larger community, and that will help you not get sort of lost or caught up in things. Your schedule's really busy. Make sure that you've got enough time for yourself with the 8 of Wands. Because the sustainability piece of this is going to be so important. Can you continue to sustain the schedule and the sort of trajectory that you've set in place right now? If you can, great. If you're feeling overwhelmed, hit the pause button, step back, and do what's necessary to make sure that that you can keep up with this. But there's really nothing to fear with this card. It's one of the best cards in the minor arcana. For business, it's sustainable, predictable work. For our own lives, it just represents that things are going to move faster than you think. You'll blink your eyes and, you know, a few days or a few weeks or a few months will have passed. So being present is the only thing that I can kind of underline here a couple of times. Let's take a moment now and see what's going on in the environment. We have a beautifully illustrated Emperor card here. It's all about power and strategy. So if we were to turn this card upright, because it came through reversed, you can see him holding on to a chess piece. The king himself is also on a chessboard. It almost looks like he's sitting on something that looks like Mars. There's a lot of power symbols here. On his forearm, we have the Ankh symbol. We also have like the skull in the background, all of these big imposing things. And so there could be someone around you that just likes to kind of like push in and have their way when it comes to leadership and decisions. Sometimes, like I've said before with this card, it can be a parental figure, but it can also be a boss or just a friend that likes to kind of come in and make sure that you're second guessing yourself. So one thing that I want to say this month is your confidence, your ability to move forward, it's being tested, but everything that I see in front of you when we're looking at this beautiful spread tells me that you can do this. So they're just maybe not used to you exerting your power, your decision-making capacity, but I'm very much behind your ability to take a left or right or whatever direction turn you want to take here. So one thing that you want to do here is to push back if someone's trying to make you do something that they want you to do, or if they're just asking a question, stand behind your decision. When I used to work in an industry where design was a big part of it, one thing that people would say is, you know, do you like that? Are you sure? They would want to be convinced. And part of it was, yeah, you wouldn't serve up a design that you didn't like. But they also needed to understand it and hear the passion behind the decision making, and then they could get on board. So the one piece of advice I can really give you with the Emperor card in reverse is, if you believe yourself, they're going to believe you. If you don't, they're going to test out and find where that crack is. And they could take advantage of that and try to insert their own thought process there. So get really secure in why you want to make the next move. Have the strategy lined up, and that's why we had the Two of Wands here. And once that happens, you're going to be able to connect the dots and win them over if there's some sort of a conversation, all right? So a little bit of a struggle here when it comes to maybe an old cycle in your life where someone would come in and question you, but you've got it this month and you've done the work. You've got it all done here, so this is going to be easy, I believe. You also might be stepping into a mentorship role, and if you've always been used to being the one that's learning or whatever, you now have a chance to give back, so that can also be exciting. There could be increased focus on someone that needs your help in their life as well, in your life rather. It could be an older parent, older sibling, someone that just needs a little bit of assistance. But even though you might be more youthful, you have what it takes. So just embrace your newfound wisdom and decision-making ability this month. All right, let's move on to opportunities. In the opportunity space, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which just flew off, but was also reversed. So as we look at this in the reverse state, basically what this is about is not letting all of these energies around you tap you out when it comes to obligations, time on the telephone, maybe even just how much money or energy you're expending into things. This can be peer pressure sometimes. And so when the card is reversed, it's basically saying the groups, the peers, the family around you, they will take and take and take until you create your sort of line in the sand. So the important thing right now is to make sure that you exercise good and healthy boundaries, and basically no means no. And even if there is a little bit of initial pushback, you're going to create a new normal, a new sort of energy behind why you can only give so much. This is also a networking card, so there could just be subtle opportunities that aren't obvious, diamonds in the rough here, especially since we're working with Earth here. So there could be a chance for you to meet a connection who you may initially sort of write off, at a party or a gathering, but they end up being significant. Could be a really close friend in the future, could be opening a door for something professional. So give things a second glance. Never sort of make your mind up just with a surface opinion. Always go search your feelings and see how things kind of pan out over time. Could be new jobs, new opportunities knocking. You have a chance to make sure that you're not selling yourself short, because this card in reverse means that the other party, the other side, is getting a lot. Make sure that you are too. And the reason I mention that is because your your outcome card here is the Two of Pentacles in reverse. So this can show a lack of work-life balance. That's typically how I read it. It can also represent a tough decision between two things that matter. We have the Wheel and the World here on either side of the center card. And so you have to decide what's going to serve your growth and interest in health and all of that. So I feel like you have a good choice to make. Maybe a difficult choice, but a good one. And you're going to sort it out. This can also be about prioritizing your family as well, making sure that, you don't have to sacrifice too much when it comes to your personal happiness, your health, or your family. I see you accomplishing balance and achieving balance. That's why this card and this card are reversed. It's important. Well, actually, most of your resources as we look towards the future tend to be reversed here. So take some time to make sure you're going in the right direction and that the expenditure is going in the right direction as well. All right, so we're going to move along now to the expanded forecast. I'm going to take a quick drink before we do that, but this is going to comprise health, wealth, love, and destiny. All right, thank you for that. We're going to move on to the health card. This is mind, body, and spirit. There's a standard disclaimer at the bottom of all of this, but I like to remind you, I'm an intuitive and a tarot reader, so I'm here to look at energy. If you're having any issues with health or finances or anything else of that matter, obviously you're going to work with the appropriate professional. That being said, let's see what the energy around health is this month. So we have Yogananda here, and Yogananda is reminding you to take the peaceful path. It's easier said than done sometimes. There are moments in your life where it just feels right or it feels good to say what's on your mind. Yogananda is saying there's a cost, there's an energy for all of that. There's also, it creates sort of karma. So we want to be really mindful. The meditated mind, that sort of neutral mind is where you want to go. So sleep on major decisions, not like not making them, but what I mean is Four of Swords. Take a night's rest, a good night's rest. Take a few hours or at least take 5 minutes before doing something really important. Breathe. Get into your energy and really think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And how is this going to impact my life and others around me? And in that peace and in that calm is going to come clarity. And clarity is a big piece of this month because you have the diamond, okay? So in that peaceful state, good things will come. If you're not in that peaceful state, find peace in your life. And if there's anyone around you that likes to instigate and shake up things, you're going to pull away from that, or you're going to create that line in the sand and say, this doesn't work, move on to someone where it does work, because you only have so much time and energy to spend on things this month. All right, let's focus on general cards indicating where the health sort of energy is this month as well. So looking at the tarot cards here, they're all pretty good, folks. The first one that I want to look at, though, is work-life balance. Some of you might be working too much. Some of you may have a hard time getting motivated to work. So too much fun, too much play. Some of you may have financial stresses that are creating stress in your life. The good news here, folks, is we have 8 of Wands, which is community. We have 10 of Pentacles, which is community. And we also have a great brainstorming card in the form of the 2 of Wands. So you can probably think your way through a problem. You have resources around you. And the main thing here might be just not being stubborn and asking for help. So I think there is a way around some of the challenges, but make sure that you're not pulling yourself too thin in too many directions. And that would be the biggest thing that I could offer up as advice first and foremost. A lot of times, especially as illustrated here, this can represent a nutrient deficiency. So maybe there's not enough variety in your diet. We're looking specifically at root vegetables here. Standard disclaimer, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, but I am looking at the cards here. So make sure that there's enough variety within the types of foods that you're eating, that there's no sort of interactions with the food and any drugs that you might be taking. It's a good conversation to have with your doctor, with your dietitian, and get that in the right direction. Otherwise, I quite like what I see here. And I think that you're in a good position, and we get the most and most valuable information from this card. Finding peace, making time to meditate and sleep, and giving yourself space between making important decisions in your life. Cannot be underestimated how important that is. Looking at wealth, this is going to be your resources, your life purpose, and your career. There's a tendency sometimes to think that this is just money. It's not. Resources are also time and energy. So in the resource space here, we have change. So yes, it's a volcano and it says volatility. So this is very tower related, but the tower's reversed. You have a Wheel of Fortune and a World card here, which would take the tower and transmute it into positive change. So a change is coming, a change where what? I said you were at the wheel, kind of turning it, and it's a change for the better. There's a couple of choices in front of you. Some of you have, like for instance, if you were accepted into a couple of jobs, a couple of universities, there could be a decision. You could be dating and there's a couple of people that you're trying to figure out who's the one. This is a good choice, but it's a choice nonetheless, and it can create a little bit of, friction in your life until you figure out what's what. Some of you are in a volatile workspace and you want to find better balance. You can find it this month. These cards are showing a change for the better, possibly necessary that some of you need to move or sell or do something like sell your house or do something like that to create that movement, but it's within reach if that's something that you want. If you're working in an environment where this can be a bad boss. So we have the Emperor, which is a boss, and a volatility card. This is someone who's just erratic and difficult to clock, like what's the next move, even though you might know, they may not know. In that case, this is basically saying it might be time to navigate out of there or find a way to deal with this stress better. For those of you that might be retired, this volatility is reminding you we actually are in a time where the markets are changing pretty quickly, so you want to be smart to navigate through that and not make risky investments. And I talked earlier about the diamond-studded road that was twisting and turning. So you want to make sure that you're not investing in something that doesn't have a firm foundation. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. For those of you that might be looking for work, there may be more shorter term things here, but I do see something on the horizon where it feels like it would come from existing connections, not so much a job site, but really focus on those networking opportunities because it feels like that's where things are going to take off. You have to excuse me, I have the air conditioner on in the background and that always dries out my throat a little bit. Let me see if there's anything else here. I think that's it, folks. I just really like this card and this card. New opportunities, expansion. Oh, there is one other thing. If you are doing something on your own, a product, a service, you're self-employed, this shows me sustainable energy, but this shows me also globalization or reaching out beyond your borders. So making sure that you're thinking of expansion and also growth potential. So as you're spending, reinvesting certain amounts into the business, making sure that there is a contingency fund, all of those sorts of things. But there's some good stuff for those of you self-employed. Retired, you want to make sure that you're doing smart things with your money. For those of you that are employed, maybe looking for a place that isn't so volatile or is a little bit more balanced. And those are the messages with respect to your money and your wealth and your resources. Let's move along to relationships. When we look at the first card, and we have two here, it's going to be about the sort of general umbrella here. All relationships have the component of love. So we're looking at friends, family, and then also romantic stuff. As we look at the two cards, one is upright, one is reversed. So we'll read the reverse one first because it was the card on top. So it says, the presence of love will always cast out fear. Amen to that. If you love yourself unconditionally and others unconditionally, if you lead with the heart, we do have the Ace of Cups here in the crowning position, so heart-centric approach, that's going to take away your fear in others because there's a feeling of safety, a feeling of empathy. It's like you're wrapping things in love, not in a sort of wishy-washy or flowery way. It's just saying this is safe. This is a safe space to discuss things. So I like that. What's the energy beneath the surface? It's upright and it says, I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. That is crazy. I don't know why I get excited about synchronistic cards, but the first one is reversed and it's saying to basically focus on this. The presence of love will always cast out fear. I recognize that I've chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. Well, that's your cycle, folks, this month. You get to either go back and learn it or you can just embrace it here. Choose love, don't give in to fear. You got the two sides of the coin here, one upright, one reverse. The one that was upright said, I'm choosing that, I recognize that I've chosen fear in the past. I choose love in the present and future. So past was fear, present is love. That's pretty darn awesome. And this is about relationships. Let's break it down, folks. We have 3 different areas that I like to look at when we focus on relationships. We'll look at existing relationships. Then we'll look at those that you're trying to call into your life, for those that are single and looking, and those that are just going about life in general, and just see what's coming through if you're single and happily single. Existing relationships seem to be expanding. It's either like you're going to expand or you're going to move on. So if you've been dating someone for a while but there's no commitment, this would be the time where that would happen. And what we really see is where do you stand? It's a depth of relationship conversation that would be happening. But for those that are already committed and in a relationship, what I see here are some challenges when it comes to time, energy, and resources. We see it here, we see it here. What I like about it, though, is the work that the two of you have done to create a firm foundation. There's a chance to take something and move it around a little bit. So there may be a decision to buy or sell a house or a large item. There could be a decision for one partner to go back to school, to change career trajectories. There's someone here who's going to try to hold down the fort. I like that. What I do see, though, is just one clear voice. I'm not seeing another court card or another major arcana that kind of meets this personality-wise. So I think there's a chance for one or both of you to share the responsibilities of leadership. It doesn't have to be one person calling the shots, and that might be the challenge or the opportunity for growth, is more equal distribution of responsibilities. What I do like is, for most of you, you're just achieving balance and you're growing, and maybe there's a positive move or development. If there is, this sort of big move and one person wants to stay put, that's the only reason why things wouldn't work. If someone's just really keen on being in one place, but the other person doesn't want to lose an opportunity to grow, and this is especially for employment or education. That's the only thing that could create friction here. Otherwise, I like what I see. We have a heart-centric approach. We have expansion and growth. We have reestablishment of balance. I'd like to see both voices coming through a little bit more clearly, but otherwise, things are pretty good, okay? If you're looking for love this month, you can find it. They're coming through here, but they're a little bossy. So one thing that I would say here is, unless you're looking for someone to create order in your life, maybe there's some work that you can do on clearing everything out so that when this person comes in, you have the time and energy to welcome them, but also they come in not so much paternal energy, but more as partner energy. The Emperor upright is great. The Emperor reverse is someone who needs a lot or has a lot of opinions, and I want to make sure that you also have a seat at the table there. Whether you're looking for love or you're single and happy, I have good news, because there are a lot of group opportunities here, like networking events, a chance to meet new friends. For some of you, there could be a growth in your personal network because of work. Maybe you're going back to work or going back to school, and that's going to just kind of exponentially grow the people that you know, and I like that as well. If you're single and happy, there's a chance right now to increase your financial health. There's a good chance for travel and movement. And I think that you'll be in high demand. So the main thing here is for you to make sure that you don't lose yourself in the shuffle. But yes, there can be love. It could be someone who is older, wiser, or has past life energy that's coming through. But never underestimate your value. You call in people that are in the same sort of energetic sphere as you. So you're worthy of them and vice versa. And never let them tell you otherwise, okay? Let's move on to the Destiny card. This is the trajectory in which you are headed. It's malleable, meaning that it changes from month to month or day to day, but we're going to look at this moment in time. We've got 2 cards. We'll take the first one first, an invitation. Some of you are invited to love. There could be a new relationship en route. Some of you have a new job on the horizon. Some of you have an inner call. I need to get out into the world. This is publishing, distribution, public appearances, movement, moving, travel. So you are invited to take this leap of faith. And it says, suit up, show up, and open up. That heart-centric approach is super important here. Looking at the card beneath it, this is the essential component. You time. It says me time, but I'm reading for you. So you time. Enjoy your own company. This is important for those that are single and looking. This is also important if you're in a relationship. This is making sure that you have time to read a book, take a bubble bath, take a walk, meditate. There's a lot of time that you're going to have to spend with your partner, possibly with your family or with your children. There's also time that you need to recalibrate and recharge, just like we have to with our phone, our watch, many devices that we have. If we use it until it goes to zero, there's nothing. So make sure that you're charging up your batteries, however that feels right for you. And sometimes you can do that with your friends and family and children, but sometimes you just need the me time. I was talking in one of the recent readings. I do so many per month, I forget which sign or which when I did this, but I was talking about, in yoga, there's a magical amount where you can do like 3, 7, 9, 10 minutes of a meditation, but you can also create habits in your life with the same thing. Think just in the terms of 5 to 10 minutes. So most of us can create that. Even if it's while we're brushing our teeth or taking a bath or, walking the dog. There's certain things you got to do every day anyway, and a lot of times you're on your own when you're doing those. So breathing and practicing a reset. I walk Apollo about at least 5 times, sometimes more. He's a lucky dog. He gets a lot of walks, but when I do that, it's a chance to take a deep breath, look at the world around me, ground my energy a bit, move my body. It's meditation. And so it's sacred time also with my dog and with me. So I make sure that I enjoy that. I try not to plug into the phone too much during that period of time, if I can help it. Sometimes I have to read a message, but if I can just he'll sometimes just want to sit and sunbathe, and I try to sit with him when he wants to do that as he gets a little bit older. So take time. You can make those 5-10 minute sort of adjustments. You'd be surprised where you can find it. All right, let's pivot into the next portion of this reading where we look at sun, rising, and moon messages. I mentioned earlier that you can look at it for all aspects of your chart, but I like to especially take a look at these. So let me shuffle the cards and then we'll talk. Sun, rising, and moon. Let's see what's going on here, Sagittarius. All right, in your sun sign, for those of you, I should say, in the sun sign of Sagittarius, say that 5 times fast, we have the 3 of Pentacles. This is showing mastery. So for those of you that set out to do or learn or absorb something, you've got it, folks, with the 3 of Pentacles. This is also an encouragement to even take it to the next level. So in traditional school, this can be like going to primary school or high school, and this is what lies beyond. It doesn't necessarily have to mean college. It can be apprenticeship or some other sort of learning, but I like it, certification. It's also a card of writing, recording, and distributing, which would nicely fit with this card, the World. So somehow getting things primed up for distribution. And there's so many ways in this modern world that we can distribute things virtually that the sort of sky's the limit when it comes to this. If we zoom in just a little closer on this, we also see all of these sort of threads here. Many of you are starting to make connections in a way that you haven't made connections before. So every experience, every opportunity, it's starting to come together in this sort of beautiful pattern and beautiful way that you hadn't seen before. So I like to remind folks occasionally, and I did this recently on a new moon reading, I said that there are no mistakes. We call in lessons. Wisdom is basically being able to see all of these pieces come together and understand that as long as you are integrating and learning from each experience, whether it was quote unquote a setback or difficult or something that was great, you're always netting in the positive. You're always learning, you're always advancing, and that's why we came to the planet. So this is saying you've definitely got to that point of graduation, and that's also nicely aligned with what we saw here. Something that's ready to move on, something where there's an expansion opportunity, possibly 2, and then we see maybe a 3rd here. There's a lot of openings coming through for you this month. I'm excited to see how it shakes down for all of you. But suffice it to say, 3 of Pentacles is great. It's also signing on the dotted line. So people may be asking you, where do you stand? Are you ready? And they may want you to sign that document. Okay, moving on from sun to rising, we have the 7 of Wands. This is a very graceful, very cool, calm, collected 7 of Wands. Typically, the person is just a little bit more frenzied, just a little bit more bothered. She is unbothered. She has taken my advice and found some time to meditate. She knows what she wants. She is graceful under pressure. and she's going to exit this being the diamond that she is. So that's the advice here, is to try to be graceful, push back. And there's, a few different ways that you can say no. It can be very, sort of like emotional, or it can just be a firm no, or no, thank you. And the person usually will move on when you're firm, polite, and clear and concise. And also, you don't want to put a question mark behind the no. No? No. So get these sort of energy behind pushing back. There's always a chance to work smarter with the Seven of Wands. Typically through delegation, you let go of one thing, you're in the Six of Wands. You bring in a little bit of help, you're in the Eight of Wands, which we already saw present today. So lean into the community that's around you, and never be afraid to sort of push back and ask for some help. And I feel like you've got this together. I also love how we see the crystal ball in this particular Seven of Wands as well. And so she's being very clear. The clarity in communication, the clarity in vision, which she got with this card, all of that is starting to pay off in a major way, and is setting her up for a very successful cycle. All right, let's take a look now and move on to the moon sign. And we have the Eight of Swords, and it's reversed. This is actually an auspicious placement for the Eight of Swords, like having it reversed, because it's putting the emphasis on the figure at the top, which is unencumbered, which is basically has her eyes open and her heart open. So what happens, let's just look at the traditional, or not the traditional card, but let's look at it in the upright position. We see the focus being on this person that's kind of tied up in their emotions, in their thoughts, and it's represented by the strings that the birds are kind of pulling back on her. And it's this feeling of, sometimes our thoughts limit us. I can't do this, it won't happen, I'll never, etc. So also it's the fear, like, what if people see this about me or think that about me? And ultimately, what you and I can see is she's got nothing to worry about. She's solid. And the focus should be on this feeling of empowerment. And we remember, because it came through super clear, especially here, I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. That's the cyclical opportunity that's coming through. And I hope that you guys can embrace that this month. Love yourself, accept yourself, let the shadow side go and say thank you for the lessons that you've been trying to teach me. I've now absorbed them. I love myself unconditionally. I'm not going to worry about this anymore. It doesn't serve my higher good. Now let's just talk generally speaking about what the Eight of Swords reminds us to do when it's reversed. Don't ignore something. So Two of Swords, Eight of Swords reverse, it's the unveiling, it's the blindfolds coming off. So even or especially when somebody shows you something that you didn't want to see, you're going to take that under consideration and raise your hand and say, I know this may not be popular, or you might want me to ignore this, but we have to talk about X, Y, or Z. So call something out if you need to, talk about something difficult. If somebody shows their colors and you didn't like that, their true colors, it's better that you know now where you stand and that you can move in a different direction. If there's something going on with your health or your finances and you see it and you're worried, speak up. Basically, this is a card of enlightenment when it's reversed. No longer are you blindfolded, now you can see. And whatever you see, it's a blessing, whether or not you wanted to see it. And that's basically how the Eight of Swords reversed kind of pans out. So I like that the eyes are open. Just remember to keep your heart and your mind open as well, and that'll lead you in a good trajectory. All right, folks, let's get ready for the final component of today's reading. Before we do, one more time, I just want to say thanks, first of all, for joining, but also for engaging with this, because it helps others discover it. It's absolutely free. It's just basically like a little bit of gratitude extended, and each action that you take, liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting, just kind of adds up. And YouTube says, oh, this is an interesting video, I'll share it with others. That's how it works, and that's why we talk about it. All right, let's get ready for the meditation. By the way, after this, I will pull a final card, so be thinking about any questions that you might have and just hold that to the side for a moment. So there's a lot of energy here around expansion, and I think that's what I want to help you focus on, is expansion. So we'll try something unique in the meditation. Just take it one breath at a time with me. I have an idea. All right. If you haven't already done so, please take a nice deep breath, close your eyes, and tune into your body. Focusing on feelings of love, opening up the heart center, exhaling and letting go of anything that no longer serves you, is no longer necessary, and just allow the sound of your breath to create this sense of safety and movement in your mind and your body and your spirit. If you don't mind, let's actually go to the moon. Let's imagine that your body's here on this planet, but imagine that you could travel through a moonbeam. So as you're laying down, imagine that the moon is shining on you and there is a single ray of light that allows you to connect from this planet to the moon. And as you connect to the moon, you are able now from this vista to see life from a distance, to see opportunities that are incoming. You're also more in touch with your emotional state. So understanding what your heart truly wants, understanding how you have the capacity through your passion, through your love, through your empathy to create and manifest in your life. Sitting gently here on the moon's surface, look at not just the earth, but the cosmos, because from our skies, it's hard to see the stars. Look at how vast this universe is. And know that you are an important light. You are just like one of those stars. So use your time, your energy, and your light within to create something magical during this lifetime, all right? And set into motion something magical here. Think about what the next step of the journey is going to be for you. And let's play the singing bowl for a few moments, and then we'll take a look at that final question. I'd love for you now to connect with your body on earth and imagine that the moonbeam that you saw was your higher self here. So you are now connected to this higher version of yourself on the moon, your body, and there's this beam of light downloading information, creating this sense of healing, and allowing for you to open up new opportunities. So we'll maintain and strengthen that connection to your higher self, and then we'll take a look at the final question. Keep breathing and just allow yourself to be in a place of love and light. Take a nice deep breath. Allow yourself now to travel back through that beam of light into your body, into this planet, this lifetime, this moment, bringing with you that download of energy and inspiration and information. Take 2 more deep inhales and exhales, and on the second exhale, gently open your eyes, turning your attention now to whatever question you might still have for me. Let's take a look at the cards and see what insight they have to yield. Welcome back, everybody. Let's focus on that question and see what's coming through. So we have a beautiful card here coming through as the answer to your question. It is the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is in reverse, and this is permission, not that you need it, but permission from the universe to take care of yourself. When the card is reversed, it's basically nurturing yourself, basically paternal energy, and there's a lot of paternal energy that came through in this reading. So this is your ability to basically say, I deserve this, I need to take time for this, this, or this. And what we saw this month was expansion and growth because you take that extra time and energy to bring something into fruition. So I definitely can get behind that message. It's beautiful. This is also saying you need to prioritize your budget, also just your environment, what's going on in your house, in any place that you're spending a lot of time in. Make sure that the energy is clear there, make sure that you feel really connected to that. And this is also a very powerful card. So this is your energy represented. I mentioned earlier that I was only seeing one court card or one king card. Now we have the second king here. So this is representing your power and your potential here. Ask for what it is that you need. Really focus on loyalty too. We see the husky or the wolf right by him. So the importance of core relationships in your life, building those and feeding energy into those is going to be important as well. But King of Pentacles is a great and auspicious card. The only thing that you want to be mindful of is someone around you that has a tendency to take too much or ask for too much. And again, we have this Catalyst card that's reminding you to create proper boundaries and healthy boundaries, and after you've established them, to keep them. Okay? Beautiful messages this month across the board. I'm excited to see how it pans out for all of you. Do me a favor, and when you're watching this on replay, give me an update. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what resonated. And thank you for being a part of this. I've already said thanks in real time to everybody, so I just want to give an all-inclusive final set of gratitude here. Thanks so much. If you would like to connect with me on other social media platforms, here you go. I'm just about everywhere at Nicholas Ashbaugh. If you need some validation on where to find me, you can always go to my website. A quick reminder, I don't give private readings. Anyone that offers one is obviously not me, but it's good to basically put that out there so you know. And again, thank you in advance for anybody that has given back with super stickers, super chat, memberships, or super thanks. All of these allow me to continue to produce, to buy new cards, and to continue to expand what I do here on YouTube. From my heart to yours, lots of love and light. Thank you for being a part of today's reading. And do join me each and every week. I'm live on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays with live premieres. I do live streams on Sundays, and I also have daily card readings. You can go to the Shorts tab for that. All right. Thanks in advance again for your participation and your support. I'll see you all soon. And in the meantime, have a great month ahead. Bye-bye.